Another map in 30 minutes. Yes, that's correct, Red. Um, and the plan's going to be after this, we'll transition to replay analysis. All right, so destroyers. Oh my god, I have seen so many destroyers going straight to A on this map and freaking dying. If you're going to play a destroyer, like a torpedo built destroyer, you can head towards A. You can luck chuck your torps. I would recommend, at this point, you luck chuck your torps between these two islands. These are your goalposts. You want to score, put your torpedoes between those goalposts. Okay? If you're going to do that, you're going to turn right like I'm doing. You're not going to go in the cap. No, 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 no. The cap is lava, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a destroyer, the cap is lava. No. You're going to stay out of the cap, and you're going to work your way this direction. Why this direction? Because if you get spotted by a radar, a carrier, anything like that, you need the cover of this island. So be thinking about going in, dumping your load, getting behind this island, and playing it safe for a moment or two. Okay?
All the wording.
That was just for you, kitten. Now,
I know.
as a destroyer, what I like to do, if I am working with another destroyer, I might ask the other destroyer to play in the cap, because that's the more dangerous part, and I'll work my way around this direction. Okay? What I'm hoping for is I'm hoping for a torpedo lane right here, or if you want to be super ballsy, you can work your way farther south, but it really depends on what the enemy's doing. Initially, I don't like going into A from a direct line. If I'm going to go into A as a destroyer, I'm not going to go straight in like this. I've seen so many people do this. If you're a German or if you've other destroyer that's got hydro, you can do this. Keep in mind, you can do this, but you are still risking a lot if you get detected. Even though you've got that super magic bullet hydro, there's probably 3 or 4 ships that are going to shoot back at you. So if you wanted to go into A, the best way to go into A is around this island and straight down from here into the safe spot. But again, it's a highly risky proposition, and it only works if you've got people that you can trust to have your back. I don't know about you guys, but in ranked, I get here, I pop my hydro, and I'm like, all right, guys, shoot this guy here, shoot this guy here, and I look at the back of my minimap, and my cruisers are already at Bravo 2 or 3, turning away and running. So guess what? I'm dead. So it's a very risky proposition to get into A early, but if you feel comfortable doing it, you can try that. SAT, have I missed anything about A?
You covered pretty much. Yeah, you did a good job of covering it. As you said, going to A early and trying to invest in it is basically try your luck.
Yep.
Now, let's see.
If you have another destroyer buddy that's going to go into A, one of the other places you can put yourself is right here, because you can trap the destroyer that's coming out to go in A. That's another strong position. I've seen destroyers do it on the other side as well, but the other side is flat, so it's a lot easier to get whacked. So you have to play farther away.
Usually what I find is that you have to play the 2... You're usually playing the 2 or 3 line if you can't win the immediate fight at A.
Yep.
You really do have to be careful about cruisers, because there's... most cruisers do like to walk down the 2 line at some point, so if you want to take A, it actually ends up being kind of a cruiser fight.
Right.
As for the safe spots for taking A, you can take it in the island in the middle. Just make sure you don't get flanked, or otherwise you're going to regret living. Or alternatively, you can go to the east side of A and kind of cap from that island.
Yep. Now, if there's 3 or 4 destroyers on the battle, sometimes I like to be a little cheeky and take my Akizuki or something in the middle of the map, because you'll oftentimes catch somebody that's noping out of one place to the other. Hello, Yak Diego. So, like, somebody that spawns in A that's like, I want to go to B, and then they go this way and this way and this way, and they're showing broadside. And if you're playing a Sashio or even just a regular destroyer, you can oftentimes surprise somebody that's changing flanks by playing in the middle. Oftentimes too, and this is if you're confident in your abilities as a gunboat destroyer. That's why I've said Akizuki or Kitakaze. You can go here, and if you face spot the enemy destroyer, you'll probably win in a one-on-one duel before either your teammate or their teammates can get their guns in on the action too. So I would say the middle of this map is high risk, high reward for a destroyer. Typically speaking, you'll send 2 destroyers to A, and then you'll send 1 destroyer to C cap. And the destroyer that goes to C cap should be your fastest destroyer. This is your Kiev. This is your Le Fantasque. This is your whatever else that's super speedy that you can just go in, get the cap, and then once you get the cap, you can start working your way down. But this is another area you have to be very careful in. Japanese destroyers, you could do a torpedo destroyer this way, but the thing about Japanese destroyers is that their concealment is so good, you almost want them to play at A because of that concealment. You want them to use that concealment to its greatest advantage. Also, if you see a gunboat destroyer and the enemy lineup and you're a Japanese destroyer, going here by yourself and then being YOLO charged by a gunboat destroyer means you're probably going to lose. Probably. So I don't like seeing Kagaros, for example, head this direction. You could do it, but I
B
just
and
don't.
C is a lot more isolated.
Yeah,
Like you're usually gonna see like 2 or 3 ships at most. So you really need to pick destroyers that are very good by themselves, and Yugero is not one of them. If
and
you take some, it's usually something like Cossack that does well here.
yes, and you also have to think about your torpedoes because that's your primary damage dealer for the Japanese destroyers. Obviously, you're going to use your guns too, I'd hope. But if you're doing it as if you're trying to set this up as a damage dealing ship, then A is where you need to be because your torpedoes are more important going through these special lanes in between these islands to block the enemy cruisers. Or if you lose A, then you kite away and you just torp into A for days as you're kiting away. Go fishing. So, I think it's really a gunboat destroyer, or you could say maybe a hybrid destroyer, like what SAT was saying at Cossack. At tier 10, Z52, I love going this way in Z52. Or going A. Either one works really well with the 52. But the problem is, once you've taken C, once you get to about this spot here, you're gonna crash into the enemy destroyer, most likely, because they're probably doing the same thing. So you've got to be thinking very carefully about where you're going. You need to have radio location so you know where the enemy destroyer is located and get a general concept of where they're going. If you're spotted yourself, you need to be thinking about what's my exit strategy. If you go past this island after C, you are probably screwed because you'll run into 1 destroyer and 1 escorting cruiser or battleship that's with that person, and you've got the island behind you, you've got no place to go, and they just get to shoot you for days. Meanwhile, your teammate is up here saying, I can't help you because you're so far ahead. So this island is a no-go, in my opinion, unless you know you have somebody that's with you. And in ranked battles, that's tough. You need to communicate with your teammates. I had a brilliant game where I did just that. I communicated. I was actually in a torpedo reload boosted Kagero because I was dumb and forgot to switch to smoke. And I had a Vladivostok who told, or maybe it was a Lenin, either way, I think it was Lenin. He told me he was with me and he was going to come with me the whole time. So I felt comfortable moving farther south and being a little bit more aggressive because that helped to screen. Actually, I was moving, sorry, to this island. That enabled me to screen torpedoes and screen a torpedo, equipped destroyer and keep this guy alive. And of course, his guns are useful should I face spot the enemy. Boom. We made it work. I killed, actually, I think it was in Cossack in this one. But anyway, I killed the destroyer over here, went into B cap. There was a Bismarck that was following that destroyer. He went up and engaged the Lenin, so I literally just reversed and torpedoed him in the side, and he was dead. We won this flank hard. We lost A, but because we won the flank hard, we were able to make a really good showing of it, and I think we won the battle afterwards as a result. But again, it comes down to your careful positioning early on. I've also seen some destroyers that like to go along the island chain early on and go for like cheeky shots on battleships. Like they'll sail up this way and they'll go for torpedoes. My problem is if you get spotted here, you're at the mercy of the entire enemy team. So I don't know that I like doing this so much, but I've seen players do it and pull it off.
A fun risk, but I would definitely avoid middle if they have something like a Yolo Emilio,
Hmm.
which I've seen in previous ranked battles. Just kind of go middle
Hmm.
and punish the one battleship or the cruiser that tries to go up to the E4 F4 island.
Absolutely. If you're going middle in a ship, you need to have hydro at the very least to be able to spot that. If you have German hydro, Paulo can't really get to you. So that's if you have Apollo on the enemy team, special hydro or bust. You could do radar too, I suppose. Cruisers. Sorry, go ahead, SAT.
High risk, high reward. That is correct. When
Yep.
you commit to mid, you are committing fully. You do not back out. Either
Yep.
you die or the enemy dies.
Now, cruisers. Oh my god. So many cruisers play this bad. Um, radar cruiser could go here. Could go here. Not the
Very
best,
common trap.
but you can go here. They're a common what?
It's a very common trap.
Yes. Why is it a trap?
Way too easy to flank. It's pretty common for cruisers go to the 2 line, and there's no way to really punish them. So if you take a Des Moines here and a cruiser or a battleship gets there, well,
Yep.
start to get farmed. And if you try to back up, sometimes there's a guy in middle, and then sometimes a guy at B or C that will also love to shoot you. So now
Yep.
you're just trading away HP for free.
If you go for this middle island and you get spotted, okay, there's a battleship typically over here that's following his teammate into B because that's just the speed at which the battleship moves. Okay, he's not slowing down to try to hit you. It's literally he's full W and he's got nothing else to do except text message while he's waiting. So you get spotted and you want to curl in here. But in the process of curling in here, you show your broadside, and those shells hit right as you curl in, and you die, or you take a lot of damage. As SAT said, you move up here. You've got 2 or 3 cruisers that are spamming you. Maybe a battleship that overmatches your bow. You've got torpedoes being spammed in from destroyers as well. So you say, "Oh my God, this is too much," and you back up, and then before you know it, plap. So this is this is a high risk, high reward position early on for a Des Moines. Um, I've played a Russian cruiser there as well. You can do it, but you're far better off making your way to one of these islands. I see tons of Des Moines playing off of this island right here. This side is riskier than this side. So generally speaking, I'll see them pointed out of here because from this position, their radar covers almost all of A. Especially Russian. I mean, I'm pretty sure Russians will. So you can put yourself over here. Um,
That island also tends to be a trap.
yep. Early on, though, I mean, I would say you're only good going there if you're working with a destroyer and you're trying to win A early on. The safest place for you to go early on is going to be this island back here, and you're going to island hop. So you're going to wait until you think it's safe, okay, to move forward, and then you're going to make your way to this island next. And then you'll wait to see if it's safe, and then you'll move forward to the next island. Am I
Yep.
missing anything?
You're correct. Well, in ranked, the safe way to control A is to literally go down the 2 line.
Yep.
Like, if you can get a radar cruiser, if you get a Des Moines to E2, the enemy is gonna struggle at F2 respectively, and vice versa.
Yep.
And because of the radar presence, then the destroyers have a lot less places they can cap.
Yep.
So if you can slowly push the enemy out of A, then yes, you will win that flank. The only problem with this move is that it's relatively slow. Safe, but slow. So
And
if for some reason C to B group decides to suicide, then GG.
And on top of that, this is a flank that you have to really be good with your instincts. You got to turn on your Jedi powers and not use your targeting computers, because you have to wait for the right moment to move forward. If you time it right, the enemy's not prepared, you can make it to this island, and most importantly, you can pew pew the safe spot behind that island. Whatever destroyer is sitting right there, well, now they have a really tough decision to make, right? Sit there and die to you, pull out and try to live and die to the rest of the team. Either way, this is what forces you to win this flank. Now, if you're in a Hindenburg, if you're in a kiting cruiser, you can also play over here, but typically C to B is probably the better play for a kiting cruiser, like a French or Japanese. I have seen Zhaos and Hindenburgs over here. You can do it, but you're out in the open and you're just going to get farmed. So I almost think that a cruiser like a Hindenburg is better off in the middle of the map in the backfield.
If you have enough range, you can play it in the middle. That
Yep.
way you can... One of the problems with this map is that all of the caps are very isolated.
Yep.
So whatever goes on with A, C group cannot do anything about it, and vice versa. If you put
Yep.
a cruiser in the middle, you can somewhat mitigate this because you can shoot on ships in A, and if for some reason if C side is falling, then you can just switch back and go over to C very quickly.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah. But yeah, that's if you don't know the enemy's composition or they're relatively spread even. But if
Right.
they're investing to one side, then you don't need to play in mid. Just go to that side.
Right. But a lot of this is coordination. A lot of this is communicating with your teammate. If you're division with them, if you're typing at the keyboard, or just praying, a lot of that is coordination over on that side. If you're playing a cruiser on C side, I see so many players, they just rush over to C, in randoms especially this side, because it's quote-unquote safer. But as SAT says, all you do is isolate yourself from the rest of the map. You might win this side, but you'll most likely lose the battle. So, if I'm playing a cruiser, right, I'm probably going to come around, and I'm going to stay up close to my destroyer buddy, and I might park myself right here and wait, and see if an enemy destroyer is dumb enough to go past this island early on for initial spots. If he is, I push my I win radar button, and I pew pew him to death with the help of my destroyer that's with me. Really, there's not much else to talk about on this side from a cruiser, because the next island up here, by the time you get to this island, there's either nobody on the enemy flank in a ranked battle, or you've won the flank essentially by killing that destroyer. If there's a battleship here, you take your time, you island hop, you make your way forward. You could go around the 10 line, but that to me is just a huge waste of time. So I'd only do that if you've took a lot of damage and need the extra time to heal up. But all you're doing is you're island hopping until you get to B cap, and then once you get to B cap, now the question, of course, is what do you do next? And that really depends on the enemy team.
And if you need points.
Exactly.
Because it's actually fairly easy to defend C and B from an A push because of those island chains.
Oh yeah. If you're a cruiser, you just put yourself up against one of these, and you hold, and you wait for them to come out in front of you. Pew pew. Alright, I think that's about it for cruisers. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
This is you guys can tell this is a very destroyer heavy island or map. I mean, I always say destroyers win games, and this map more than a lot of others, if your destroyers don't position themselves right early on, it's going to be an uphill battle. You can still win, but it's an uphill battle. Battleships. One of my favorite places to go in a battleship is right up by this island here. Now, what you can do here is you can park yourself right there with your guns looking back at A. Look at this level of broadside that you're going to have on cruisers and battleships from this position. So you park yourself here with the ability to just hit W and get behind cover if you need it. Early on, I think that's a strong position. Battleships that go farther in, like here, early on, you are extremely risking your health because of torpedoes and because of fire from enemy battleships. Especially in ranked, I've seen submarines that like to go up this way. And if you put yourself here in a battleship, you're basically going to die in 5 minutes. Um, let's talk A. A. Try to get yourself about here-ish. So Charlie 4-ish. Pointed away early on. Guns looking south at A to support your destroyer that spots their destroyer, or gets a hit on a cruiser or something like that. Like SAT said, if a cruiser goes to either of these two islands, that's the trap. It's your job to spring that trap and kill those ships. You can continue to work your way out to the flank, but the problem is that it makes it more difficult for you to deal with anything in the middle.
Yep.
Um, so
Going to
yeah,
the 1-2 light isolates you from the rest of the battle.
yep,
So if you're in the mid position, you can shoot on every ship that's on the 2 or 3 line, threaten broadsides, and you can still switch your guns over to C and B if needed.
right.
If you go to the 1-2 line, that means you're 100% committed to A. So if your B to C team loses, then GG.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, the other thing that's nice about this position is it gives you the choice to go into A should your team win A and you want to support them as they push. Deadliest, take care, enjoy the curling. Or, obviously, if they lose A, you can start turning and kiting away. But please, for the love of God, do not go all the way to the A line if you kite away. It's not going to help. You need your guns close to the action. You need your guns to slow the enemy team down. And if you go full speed all the way up to the A line, you're just not gonna get to a position where you can slow down the team. So that's really it for battleships. There's only really two initial positions that you want to go. Wouldn't you agree, SIT?
Yep. Middle is generally too dangerous because of
Yeah.
submarines.
Yep.
Submarines all love to go mid for some reason, so going there is basically just gifting some lucky sub on the team 100k.
Yep. Um, carriers. It's a wide open map. It's a big map. I
Literally whatever side you go to.
would say you decide, right, you decide whichever side you want to work on and you sail towards that direction. So if I'm playing in a carrier and I'm starting off here, I'm probably going to initially fly to A, and then if nobody's there, or if the anti-air is too thick to strike into, then I'll move over to B after dropping a fighter in the middle of the map to just kind of scout for my team. And I'll head over to B to try to see what they're doing and maybe try to delay their cap. I don't like parking carriers behind these islands. I've seen a lot of players do it. They're just too damn close and too easy to get overrun early on. Even late game, it's very easy to get overrun. So I
There's no need
disagree.
to commit.
Yeah,
Like what you need to do is just wait to see where everyone's committed, and then when you start committing your planes, that's where your carrier goes as well.
right.
So for
Now,
example, if there's like a 2v2 on C and B side and you want to make it a 3v2, then go there.
alternately, if you typically want to look at where the bulk of your ships are going, and you generally want to head that direction too, just for the safety of your own ship. So if, as SAT said, there's a 2-on-2 going out on east, if you decide you want to break that, I mean, you could initially send your carrier that way for quicker flight time, but you need to be thinking about going back to the other side, regardless of what happens on this flank. Um, if you've got a 2 versus 2 over here, that means you've got 4v4 over at A. So getting your carrier positioned more on the A side so that you can get those ships down there works as long as the enemy team isn't balling up into this anti-air death ball. If they ball up, well, to hell with that flank. You're gonna have to tell your team, sorry guys, I can't help you, and you're gonna have to fight over on the other side anyways. Except Colorado. I saw somebody, I think it was Rob, saying something about Colorado. Fun ship. I love Colorado. Is there
Fun
anything
ship. Once you get if you can ever get to battle.
right? Is there anything, guys, that I am forgetting about mentioning with the maps? Any questions you guys have with Islands of Ice? Okay, cool. Well, here's what we're going to do. Because we have a 2 skull difficulty stream raiders, please go ahead and